The house belongs to me now, Amanda declared, waving Dad's will like a victory flag. You should start packing your things, Emma. I stood in our childhood living room, still wearing my black funeral dress, watching my sister claim our family home with the same entitled attitude she had since we were kids. My name is Emma Mitchell, and at 32, I had just lost my father to cancer. While most families come together in grief, mine was falling apart over property rights. Well, specifically, my younger sister was tearing it apart. Did you even read the whole will? I asked quietly, running my hand along the familiar wooden banister of our Victorian-style home, the house where Dad had raised us after Mom passed when we were young. I don't need to read beyond this part, Amanda smirked, pointing to the clause that named her as the inheritor of the family home. Dad clearly knew who deserved it more. I could have argued. I could have pointed out that I was the one who came home every weekend for the past year to care for Dad during his chemotherapy. I was the one who managed his medications, drove him to appointments, and held his hand during the worst nights. Meanwhile, Amanda had been too busy with her social life to visit more than twice during his entire illness. Instead, I smiled. You're right, the house is yours. Amanda's triumphant expression faltered slightly, thrown off by my easy acceptance. Well, good. I'm glad you're being reasonable for once. Our childhood home, a beautiful Victorian built in 1920, had been in our family for 3 generations. Every corner held memories. The height marks on the kitchen doorframe, the secret hideaway under the stairs, the window seat where Dad used to read us stories. But Amanda saw none of that. To her, it was just another asset to add to her collection. When do you want me out? I asked, maintaining my calm demeanor. By the end of the week, she replied, already pulling out her phone to take pictures for social media. I have renovators coming next Monday. This place needs a complete overhaul to be Instagram-worthy. My heart clenched at the thought of Amanda gutting our childhood memories, but I kept my expression neutral. I'll be gone by Thursday. That evening, as I packed up my room, I found the old leather journal Dad had given me on my 16th birthday. Inside, tucked between the pages, was a letter dated just 3 months ago. My dearest Emma, by the time you read this, the will reading will be over. Amanda will have the house, as she's always wanted. But you, my precious daughter, you've inherited something far more valuable. Remember the stories I used to tell you about your grandfather's legacy? There's a reason I made you promise to keep the old workshop locked until after I was gone. Tomorrow morning, go to the workshop behind the house. The combination to the locked cabinet is your birth date. What you find inside will explain everything. Love, Dad. I closed the letter, memories flooding back of the countless hours Dad and I had spent in that workshop. He taught me everything he knew about restoration and carpentry, skills Amanda had dismissed as boring old people stuff. The workshop had been our sanctuary, our special place. The next morning, while Amanda was at brunch with her friends, probably bragging about her new property, I made my way to the old workshop. It looked exactly as we left it after Dad's last good day, tools carefully arranged, projects half finished, waiting for hands that would never return to them. The locked cabinet had been a mystery for years. Dad had always said it contained family history, but never opened it. Now, with trembling fingers, I entered my birth date into the combination lock. 04 to 1589. The lock clicked open. Inside I found another letter, this one yellowed with age, and a stack of documents that made my breath catch. Property deeds, stock certificates, bank statements, and photographs, dozens of them, showing buildings, businesses, and land holdings I'd never known existed. My clever girl, Dad's letter began. If you're reading this, you've already shown more grace in handling Amanda's inheritance than she deserves. The house was never the real family legacy. Your grandfather built an empire, piece by piece, but he knew the importance of keeping it quiet. These properties, these investments, they're the true inheritance, and they're all yours now. You see, I watched both my daughters grow up. One saw only what was on the surface, demanding immediate gratification. The other understood the value of patience, hard work, and kindness. You, Emma, are your grandfather's granddaughter in every way that matters. The house, it's just a house. But what you're holding in your hands now, that's your grandfather's life work, carefully maintained and grown over the years. The workshop company was just the public face. Behind it, there's so much more. Take care of it, Emma, and remember, sometimes letting others think they've won is the smartest move you can make. Love, Dad. I sat on the workshop floor, surrounded by proof that while Amanda was celebrating her ownership of one house, I had inherited an entire real estate empire. Dad had known exactly what he was doing, and suddenly, his peaceful smile during his final days made perfect sense. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. "Don't forget, everything needs to be out by Thursday. I'm thinking of turning your old room into a yoga studio." I looked at the document spread around me and smiled. "No problem." I typed back, "Take good care of the house." After all, she could have her Instagram-worthy Victorian. I had bigger plans to attend to. The next few days passed in a blur as I moved my belongings into a modest apartment downtown. Amanda watched with undisguised glee as I packed up my childhood memories, occasionally making comments about her renovation plans. "The antique staircase has to go," she announced while I carried out another box. "It's so outdated. I'm thinking glass and chrome would be more my style." I thought about Dad lovingly restoring that staircase one summer, teaching me how to sand and stain the wood. But I just nodded and kept walking. What Amanda didn't know was that between moving boxes, I was meeting with Dad's longtime attorney, Mr. Harrison. In his wood-paneled office, surrounded by the scent of leather and old books, the full scope of my inheritance became clear. "Your father was a brilliant man," Mr. Harrison said, spreading out documents across his desk. While everyone saw a simple workshop owner, he was quietly building something extraordinary. The portfolio includes 32 commercial properties, 15 residential developments, and significant stakes in 3 shopping centers. My head spun as he walked me through each holding. The numbers were staggering. The workshop company, which I always thought was Dad's only business, was just the tip of the iceberg. "Why didn't he ever tell me?" I asked, still trying to process it all. Mr. Harrison smiled kindly. He wanted to see which of his daughters would appreciate the value of hard work before knowing about the rewards. "He watched both of you carefully over the years. Your sister's behavior during his illness confirmed what he already knew." A week after moving out, I received a string of angry texts from Amanda. The renovators had started work on the house, and things weren't going as planned. "The contractor says there's original crown molding under the ceiling panels," she fumed. "It's going to cost a fortune to remove. And apparently, the hardwood floors are historically significant or whatever. This is such a hassle." I thought about all the weekends Dad and I had spent uncovering and preserving those very features. "That's too bad," I texted back. But Amanda's frustrations were just beginning. The house, it seemed, was fighting back against her modernization attempts. The simple bathroom upgrade revealed intricate tile work that would be criminal to destroy. The quick kitchen renovation uncovered custom cabinets worth more than her planned replacements. "This house is impossible," she complained when I stopped by to collect my last few items. "Everything I want to change, some expert tells me I shouldn't. And the property taxes, Dad never mentioned how expensive those were." I watched her pace the living room, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood floors she couldn't bring herself to replace. "Old houses can be challenging," I offered mildly. Meanwhile, I was settling into my role as the hidden property mogul of the city. Mr. Harrison introduced me to the network of managers and maintenance teams that kept the empire running. I visited my properties discreetly, learning the stories of each building, meeting the tenants who had no idea their new landlord was the quiet woman taking notes in the corner. One afternoon, I received an unexpected call from Amanda's husband, Tom. "Emma, I need your help," he said, sounding stressed. "Amanda's in over her head with the house. The maintenance costs are eating through our savings, and she refuses to admit it." I leaned back in my office chair, my real office, in the penthouse of one of my commercial buildings, not that anyone knew that yet. "What do you mean?" "She spent a fortune on failed renovation attempts, and now the property taxes are due. We can't afford this place, but she won't listen to reason. She keeps talking about her influencer home makeover series like that's going to pay the bills." I thought about the house, about Dad's careful stewardship of it over the years. Has she considered selling? "To who?" Tom laughed bitterly. "After all the failed renovations, we take a loss. Unless," he paused. "Would you be interested in buying it? You know the place better than anyone." I smiled, thinking about the portfolio of properties sitting on my desk. The family home would make a perfect addition, restored and preserved the way Dad would have wanted. "I might know someone who'd be interested," I said carefully. "Let me make some calls." That evening, As I stood in my new office overlooking the city lights, I thought about Dad's letter. He'd known this moment would come. Amanda had wanted the house so badly, never realizing it was the least valuable part of the family legacy. She'd chosen the shiny object, the immediate gratification, while Dad had quietly prepared me for something much bigger. My phone buzzed with another text from Amanda. The property taxes are due next week. I don't suppose you have any brilliant ideas. I looked at the city spread out before me, at the buildings I now own twinkling in the darkness. Among them, our childhood home waited, ready to return to the family legacy Amanda had never known existed. Actually, I typed back, I might have a solution. It was time to show my sister exactly what she overlooked while fighting for a single house. 3 months after Dad's passing, I sat across from Amanda in an upscale restaurant, watching her pride crumble like the untouched bread on her plate. Between us lay a purchase offer for our childhood home, one that would solve all her financial problems. I don't understand, she said, frowning at the document. How can Mitchell Heritage Properties offer this much? The house needs so much work after all my renovation attempts. I took a sip of water, savoring the moment. Mitchell Heritage Properties specializes in historic home restoration. They see the value in preserving architectural history rather than modernizing it. What Amanda didn't know was that Mitchell Heritage Properties was just one branch of my inherited empire, named after Dad's workshop, the same workshop she dismissed as that dusty old building. But this offer, she gestured at the paper, it's more than double what the house is worth. The company has a particular interest in this property, I replied carefully. They understand its historical significance. Amanda's eyes narrowed. And how exactly do you know so much about this company? The moment had finally arrived. I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a sleek portfolio bearing the Mitchell Heritage Properties logo. Because Amanda, I own it, along with quite a few other things Dad left me. Her face went through a series of expressions. Confusion, disbelief, anger. What are you talking about? Dad left you nothing but that old workshop. The workshop was just the beginning, I explained, opening the portfolio to reveal photos of my properties across the city. While you were fighting for the house, Dad left me his real legacy, the empire he and Grandpa built quietly over decades. Amanda's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. These buildings, the River Plaza Mall, the West Side Apartments, these all belong to me, I finished quietly. Dad knew exactly what he was doing when you left you the house. He wanted to see what you do with it. This isn't fair, she whispered, but the fight had gone out of her voice. You tricked me. No, Amanda, you tricked yourself. You were so focused on what you could see, what you could show off on social media, that you never bothered to look deeper. Dad spent years teaching me about property management, restoration, business. Lessons you called boring and refused to learn. Tears welled in her eyes. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did you let me struggle with the house? For the same reason, Dad let us make our own choices. Some lessons we have to learn for ourselves. The waiter arrived with our meals, giving Amanda time to compose herself. When he left, she looked at me differently, not with her usual condescension, but with something close to respect. So what happens now? She asked. Now you have a choice. You can sell the house to Mitchell Heritage Properties for a very generous price, solving your financial problems. Or you can keep struggling with maintenance costs and property taxes while trying to turn it into something it was never meant to be. Amanda was quiet for a long time, pushing food around her plate. Finally, she looked up. Will you restore it the way Dad would have wanted? Every detail, I promised. The crown molding, the hardwood floors, even that antique staircase you wanted to replace. It'll all be preserved and restored to its original beauty. 2 weeks later, I stood in the foyer of our childhood home, now officially mine again. Amanda and Tom had moved to a modern condo better suited to their lifestyle, their financial worries eased by the sale. As I ran my hand along the banister Dad and I had restored together, I felt his presence strongly. You were right, Dad, I whispered. Sometimes letting others think they've won is the smartest move. Mr. Harrison joined me for the initial restoration planning. Your father would be proud, he said, watching me examine the original blueprints. You've managed this situation exactly as he would have. I learned from the best, I replied, thinking of all those quiet lessons in the workshop. Over the next year, I restored the house to its former glory, preserving every historical detail while subtly modernizing the systems. Amanda occasionally drove by, watching the transformation. One day, she finally worked up the courage to visit. "It's beautiful," she admitted, standing in the fully restored living room. "This is what it should have been all along." "It's still your home too, Amanda," I said softly. "Different than you imagined, but family is family." She looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time. "You know, I never understood why Dad spent so much time teaching you about old houses and restoration. I thought he was playing favorites, but he wasn't, was he? He was preparing you." "He tried to prepare both of us," I corrected. "We just chose different paths." As we stood there in the house that had started it all, I realized Dad's true legacy wasn't the properties or the wealth. It was the lessons he taught us about patience, wisdom, and seeing beyond the surface. Amanda had gotten exactly what she fought for, and I had gotten everything Dad knew I'd protect and preserve, just as he and Grandpa had done before me. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply letting life teach its own lessons.